Hey, welcome to the Press On Podcast. This is Pastor Chad. We're honored and delighted that you decided to click on and subscribe with us. I'm here today with Matt Jones, one of the leaders here at our church. Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, been going to Chickasha First for a little over 14 years, I guess. Met my wife, started coming here. It's been a journey for sure.
You say that like you didn't start off your whole life living in church.
Amen, right?
So you weren't a church
No,
kid?
absolutely not. My grandma did try to get us to go to church from a young age. So I did attend on occasion, not regularly. A Baptist church. They're close to my parents' house.
Okay.
But, it didn't last very long. My grandma actually stopped going at a time.
So when grandma stopped, the family stopped.
Pretty much, and it was. We were in like Kiwanis or whatever it was called.
Okay.
And doing some of that, but I mean, for the time I went, I enjoyed it. I always kind of felt like I should be there, but once Grandma stopped going, her health declined, and we just kind of fell out of that.
So how did you end up making the transition? What were you doing before you came to church, or what were you doing while you were dating your wife?
Yeah. So, as far as churches related, I wasn't doing anything.
So what vocationally were you doing?
Welder.
You a welder?
Yeah. Went to welding school. Come out of that straight into I didn't even finish before I got a job in the welding industry, and so
You roughnecking?
no, plug and abandon, and so
Okay.
we would go and weld pull subs on and help recover any pipe
That's
that was
long hours and far miles.
Yeah, we got to travel quite a bit across Oklahoma, some in Texas.
So how did you make a relationship work with that?
Carefully, I guess. So at the time, it was probably an hour and 15-minute drive one way.
Okay.
But you know, if we were out on jobs, it was typically 2 or 3 days, and we'd be back. And so coming back through, I'd always stop at the A&E and eat. And at the time, I had a roommate also named Casey. And so we'd go over there and eat, and Casey was working there.
And you got sweet on a waitress, is what you're saying.
Got sweet on a waitress.
So did she give you the?
I say a waitress. She was actually a hostess.
She was a hostess. You got
Yeah.
sweet on a hostess.
Yep.
You got to go out of your way to talk to the hostess.
I guess so.
So did she give you the ultimatum? Come to church if you want to date me.
You know, I don't remember that. That's a question for her, but what I remember is like, hey, I'd like for you to come to church with me on Sunday, and so I kind of just sparked that and kind of felt at home with it.
And so, what was the major decision for you to follow Jesus?
So, you know, I got baptized 2019. I really feel like that was more of a turning point for me in my walk with God. But I always felt that innate, calling to be with God, but never really had it under my own power to go and, hey, this is what I'm going to do, right? So not having anything to lead me that way outside of myself, I didn't really pursue it. But with Casey, it just kind of, like I say, felt like the right thing at the time, and it's worked out well.
Awesome. Well, so hey, we're talking about pressing on as according to Philippians chapter 3, and Paul has been telling the church at Philippi, you can do all the works and all the things, and none of that matters except for pursuing Christ, His power, and the resurrection of eternity. But there's these other moments in Scripture where he talks about pressing on. And so the first pressing on in Philippians 3 is this pursuit. So we're pursuing after Jesus. We're pursuing after his power. These other pressing on are like places to be as a mental idea, like, well, I'm going to be this, or I'm gonna think about this, or I'm gonna act like this, right? And so we're looking at today Romans chapter 14:19, where Paul tells the Roman church, hey, so let us pursue what makes peace and for mutual upbringing. How would you take that peace to be?
Give it to me one more time.
So Paul is talking to the church about pursuing peace, and it's not like this I'm chasing after. It's a state of mind. I'm gonna pursue peace and for mutual upbringing.
So for me, and really through the journey that you and I have been on, I've really leaned into the fact that all the things that have, over the course of my time previous to being a Christ follower, all those hurts, all those things that, really are a hindrance to your relationship with God. I really leaned into resolving some of those things and somewhat freeing, myself of that and bringing some peace. That's how it relates to me anyway. I'm not sure if that answers the question.
No, so for you, what has been one of the coolest things that God has provided peace for?
So Greg and Sean McKinney will be happy or proud of me maybe, and I'm not going to cry.
Talking through tears?
Yeah, right. There was some things in my childhood that were extremely impactful. Abuse to in a degree, and so I don't want to say coming clean. It's not the thing, right?
Right.
More so getting that off my chest, feeling like that was a burden that weighed me down.
So what would you tell someone who's struggling through something that's happened in their life that God can provide peace for them? What would you tell them would be the benefit of it?
It is very freeing. It'll change your emotional status as far as mentally. It'll encourage and help healing. I can attest to that. I wouldn't be able to speak about it for the most part at all in a group setting, and confessing those things here recently in a group of 10 or 12 guys, where barriers are up and those types of things. If you can get past that, you can really get to the heart of it and know Jesus, because that's what he wants for you.
He wants you to be at peace.
Yeah.
So this moment in Romans, right? So Paul is dealing with some issues the church is facing, they're judging one another, they're despising one another, they're trying to destroy other brothers' freedom. They're saying certain brothers are putting a stumbling block for their lives. They're not accepting one another and their differences, whether that be a cultural or generational or even a socioeconomic. They have a tendency of tearing down more than building up. And so Paul is saying that we need to pursue peace that does all these things that build up the body. What do you see as just a Christ follower involved in the church? What is one of the more difficult areas that is hard to build up the other believers with?
So I think a lot of times we get stuck in our heads about the social aspect of church or individuals as a whole, right? We get caught up in the well, what if they think this about me? And the whole intent in my mind, or the way I think about it is these things that happen in our lives are happening so we can share them with others, because you're not going through it by yourself.
Yeah.
There's others that experience these same things, and so if you can trust in God enough to have courage to share it, there's a lot of freedom and peace on the other side.
Yeah. Do you see that? Do you see in church sometimes that people hold it against somebody for acting a certain way or doing a certain thing because they don't actually understand where they're coming from?
I think so. And I think there's lots of topics that get difficult because you don't know what someone else is going through, like you're saying. And so when you're like in a space of leadership, you don't want to be the reason somebody else stumbles.
Yeah.
And so it's very challenging to think, hey, I've dealt with that issue, but I don't want to talk to anybody about it because that exposes me. Like, I don't know if I can live with that.
Right.
But that's what we're called to do.
I mean, that literally is the example piece that Paul's talking about, right? Like, I'm not going to let them feel like they're alone, but it does require me to expose myself a little bit to let them know that they're not alone.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you said that you didn't grow up in church, and this church thing was more like a hope and a prayer that maybe a girlfriend will like me. Why did you get to the point where like you could trust someone or a group of people to be honest? Like, how did you develop that peace, or what was something done for you that allowed you to have the peace to be honest and open?
Twofold, I think. One, someone else sharing their testimony and seeing, what I would call bravery or courage, because, the social side of that,
Sure.
the judgment that comes with,
or the fear of judgment, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not legitimate, but at least the fear of it.
Absolutely right. So the fear of judgment that comes with whatever transgression it is like, I don't know, can almost freeze you in time at a point. And somebody else sharing their testimony was kind of the epiphany and the turning point for me. I think the second part I was getting to was, we're all in different stages of life.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it until I didn't realize it until I had become a father and had younger men. So I wouldn't say looking up to me, but
they're looking up to you.
Yeah, I guess that's the answer, I suppose. But those types of things changed my perspective on my walk with God.
Yeah.
And really leaning into the fact that, hey, that's what we're called to do, is share our testimony with others so they can share their testimony too, or be encouraged to, and they can start that healing process.
And it's in that sharing the testimony that peace actually takes place.
Absolutely.
Right? It's actually saying, hey, here's what I've been through, here's what I've gone through, and if God can do it for me, he can do it for you.
Absolutely.
And that's, I think, kind of like Paul's words, again, pursue what makes peace and for mutual upbringing, building, right? Like, so if I am bringing peace, I'm building not only myself up, but others up as well.
Yep.
I love that. I think at this time we're going to watch a video. Yeah. So at this time, we're going to watch a transition to watching a video and just having a reaction to it.
She loves Jesus. She's at church. Here's what you need to do. You need to walk up to her and you need to be clear with what you're doing. You say something like, hey, I've been noticing you for the last few weeks. Would it be okay with you if I got your number, because I would like to reach out to you to take you on a date? Don't leave it ambiguous. Don't be like, I want your number. Maybe we can hang out sometime. She doesn't know what the heck you mean by that. But if she says yes, then here's what you do. You call her and then watch this. You set up a time. You can just Google romantic dates in Dallas. Like, it's going to go great, bro. You're going to do great. And then here's what you need to do. Go back to principle number 2. You take a shower, soap and water, maybe a little cologne, definitely the deodorant, mouthwash, all the things. You put on a shirt with a button on it. Then you pick her up, you go out and watch this, and you pay for it like a man. If you get on a date with a young man and he asks you to pay for half of it, run, Forrest, run. And let me say this, men, if you get on a date and she sort of blocks you, she won't let you pay for half the date because she believes in equality, run, Forrest, run. She's going to hate what this book says about marriage later, okay? Run.
Can I do a one-up story?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I have all kinds of things I want to talk about that I love. I'm raising 2 daughters. You've got a daughter and 2 sons. So I was a youth pastor for 8 years, and we were down in Norman for a trip. And I had a group of young men who were taken to a discipleship camp. So it's like 12 guys. I think we had like 14 girls. And so we rode in 2 separate vans, guys in one van, girls in the other. And I knew that we're pulling into the mall because it was real easy to go to a mall to eat. You send everybody, and it's very self-contained. You don't have to worry about people. And I told the guys, whoever gets the most amount of phone numbers, I will buy your lunch. All right. Now, mind you, I'm a youth pastor, right? And so we get out of the van. I won't say the kid's name, but this cat, like, he is gung-ho for this. And he's like 12, maybe 14 at the time, right? And so he starts running down the hallways, and he's walking up to girls being like, hey, my youth pastor told me I needed to get names and numbers, and so I'm just want to know, could I get your name and your number? And just he comes back. He's got like 22 names and numbers, right? So he gets the reward.
He didn't lie.
He didn't lie, man. And he got the names and numbers. He gets the free lunch, and we go about it. So I'm watching the kids. Well, this barista that he had asked the name and a number from, she is just irate, right? Just livid. And she comes marching up to me, and I could describe this person. It would probably be unfair, but just think liberal Norman. That's the type of young woman that we're talking about that's working as a barista. And she walks up to me and she just lets, how dare you have a 14-year-old asking for cell phone numbers? How ignorant of you to have you do that. And I finally said, whoa. That young man has no father. He's never been encouraged to be a man. He's never been encouraged to actually take the ownership of the relationship and go ask for numbers. And I provided a very safe space. Like, you're not going to pull out a weapon on him, are you? No. And I said, so why wouldn't I encourage a young man to act like a young man when everybody in the world says it's the girl's responsibility, it's all on the girl? Well, that sounds really bad for you. Like, you're having to pick up scraps when we need to be encouraging young men to be men. By the end of the conversation, she's like, I never thought about that way. Do you want a free coffee, free tea? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't drink tea. I don't drink coffee. I'm not old enough. And it was this really strange encounter that we haven't actually encouraged young men to be young men, right?
True.
You're raising sons. How would you approach that video? As a father in the audience listening to a pastor say, frickin' call her, stand up and make the phone call. Like, how do you take a different take than I do as a dad of daughters?
I don't think I'd take a different take. So I was thinking about this. It's different today, in a sense,
Sure.
than it was in your youth and my youth.
Yeah.
And I hear, like, Kinsley talks about these words, all these like sus and riz, and I'm like,
Oh, I tell my daughters all the time I got all the riz in the world. How do they think I pulled their mom?
like, what are you talking about?
Come on, man.
And so, for me, I'm with him. Like, I agree. I mean, I went up to Casey and said, hey, here's my number. If you want to call me sometime, would love to go out on a date. And from that point on, I'm going to bring it up. You're welcome, honey. From that point on, I would call her or text her and ask her about the weather.
Just the weather?
Because I was coming from, an hour and a half away and wanted to know when I got home what the weather was going to be like, just so I could.
That was your lead pickup line.
Yeah.
How's the weather over there?
How's the weather over there?
Okay.
It worked.
Obviously. Yeah, so my take on a video like that, I do think we have sissified young men, right? Maybe I'm coming from an old school 90s mentality, right? But like, at what point are we going to expect more from young men with our daughters?
Agreed. Yeah. So it's challenging, honestly. Luckily Kinsley doesn't date.
Okay.
Thus far. Amen.
Okay.
Keep it that way.
Not forever though, right?
No, just till you're 25. It's all good.
25's all good. All right.
Yeah. So I would my struggle with the whole dating and all that stuff. One, I'm not quite there yet, right? With our children, but I just want people. I want want spouses for my children that are they're respectful, right?
Sure.
That have drive, that have ambition, that aren't like a lot of people today. The workforce today is not that way, and so it's challenging for me. I want to make sure my sons are driven and are able to take care of their families. I want my daughter to also be driven, but look for a man that will take care of her. And I think that's really the desire for most dads.
You know, I've got a 17-year-old and a 12-year-old going on 23. I say that with some jest. You know, we don't have a strict no dating policy in our home. You know, I was asked very early on, are your girls not allowed to date? No, my statement has always been, if a guy wants to date one of my daughters, he first has to come ask me if they can date. Then after they ask me if they can date, I'll say yes, but then I go with my daughter. We have a conversation of, you need to give me your list of expectations from a future spouse. And that may seem very dramatic, but I think that if you can make your children articulate what they want from life, it helps to liberate or helps alleviate any stress of what they may or may not want. And so, you know, Ari's my youngest. We've had some young men who say they want to date her, and my statement is, have they talked to me yet? Oh, Dad, they're not man enough. And my response is, then that's probably not what you want. Giovanna's had a guy who's asked, and they dated for a while, and it ceased to be. But at the end of the day, the young man did what needed to be done. He showed an effort and attention to her. And my response has always been to both my girls, you're worth it, right? Like if no guy is willing to make the effort, he's saying you're not worth it.
Right.
And I would say to any young man, right, if she's worth it, you're going to make the effort for it.
Absolutely.
You know, you mentioned that we're on different playing levels as far as dating that wasn't when you and I were in high school or where it was. Yeah, we didn't necessarily have social media apps or social structures of dating sites or whatever. I'm not highly opposed to those things, but I still think at some point somebody has to take the initiative, and I firmly believe it should be the young man taking the initiative. Why? Because she's worth it. Right. She's worth it. So,
no, seen in the notes something about marriage being on the decline.
Yeah. So historically speaking, currently, the average age of an individual getting married is now past mid-30s. And with that, there's a whole segment of young people who are refusing also not to have babies. You know, I was on vacation a couple of weeks ago, and we were on a beach, and there happened to be a guy who was paddleboarding with a buddy, and they coming into the cove, and I had my buddy who was with me was asking about it, and they just said, well, we just live on the beach. So like, one guy's in his 40s, one guy's in his mid-30s. Oh, this is all we want to do for the rest of our life, be on a beach. And I said, how incredibly selfish, right, that you're just living for yourself, right? And I think you would say being married to a woman is the most difficult thing you've ever done in your life.
I would never say that.
Oh, I absolutely say living with a woman is the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. But it's also the greatest experience I've ever had.
Agreed. And my wife would say it's difficult living with me. So,
it's got to be hard to be living with me. Absolutely. Yeah. But like that is like it. God said it was not good for man to be alone. It is not good for me to be by myself. I need my wife. I love my wife. I desire to be alongside of my wife, but it's hard, right? Because I get in the way.
I think it's meant to be hard, right?
Yeah, everything that is hard is worth it, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Like if there's no challenge to it, then what's the point? And so I think that's some of my observations with culture right now. Like young men aren't willing to do the hard thing.
Yeah. So historically speaking, over the course of 100 years, let's say. So you had the Great Depression and all that good stuff coming into that. I think about the families that through that early time that were sharecroppers.
Yeah.
And the the mentality that they had, right? So much of today's society has been, you use the word sissified. They don't know where to find food outside of the grocery store, and I liken that to people's tenacity for doing life, right? Like if it's in the FFA, it's anything easy isn't worth doing.
Sure.
And so I bring that up because I kind of live by that in a sense, because the fruit of the hard things is much sweeter than the fruit of the easy things.
Sure.
So,
So girls, if you're watching or listening today, if he's still living in his mama's house, eating his mama's food, having his mama pay for his cell phone and his car insurance, find another dude.
run the other way.
Yeah, run the other way. How do you say? Run, Forrest, run. Run, Forrest, run. Hey, thanks so much for checking us out here on the Press On podcast. We're on delighted. Would you hit subscribe? We'd love to see you here in the next coming weeks. God bless.